At Rubberband, we empower each other through positivity, kindness, and practical advice. Join a community of thousands of peers who understand the unique challenges you face. Rubberband. Company agnostic, low ego, high empathy, always supportive. And we are live. Welcome, listeners, to today's episode of the Rubberband podcast, where I am joined by special guest Conor Ryan from Teamtailor for our third instalment of the Talent Tech series. Now, before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land that I live and work on, the Wadawurrung and Dja Dja Wurrung people. I recognise their continuing connection to the land and waterways. I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and I would like to extend this to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Welcome, Conor. How you doing?
Hey, Aidan. Hey, I'm good, thanks. I'm good. I'm just cracking back into it after a nice break in Wellington, in New Zealand, where I'm originally from. It was the first time in 5 years since I've been back. So,
wow.
it was good, but really, really busy.
Oh, so well. And where are you now? Where are you based, Conor? Are you based Sydney or Melbourne, or where's home?
Home for me now is Melbourne, which has been great. We've been here for 3 months now after moving across with Teamtailor from London for the past 5 years. So there's the gap that I didn't make it back home to Wellington, but it was brilliant to be back. It's just such a beautiful green place. You kind of forget. Have you been to Wellington before, or New Zealand?
To Wellington. I've been to New Zealand. I one of my roles, I needed to travel to Auckland quite a bit. We had a team in Auckland, and I love New Zealand. I haven't seen it. Like I've literally only seen Auckland, but it reminds me of sort of the way Sydney was when I was growing up. Like it's got the the harbour and the hills, and it's very green. It's very beautiful. Sydney is just so big now, but that's what it reminded me of. And I had a ball over there. Great food, lovely people, fabulous.
Yeah, it's the people that got me. It's just I was at a cafe and someone lined up behind me and said, "Have you been to this cafe before? I'm from Blenheim," and I was just a bit taken back, right? And then later at the cafe, someone else came up and just talked to us. So it's just lovely people. Always up for a chat. So it was great. But now I'm back in sweltering heat again, right? I can't complain, but we're back.
We're back. Well, let's go back to New Zealand, though. I want to kick off the conversation sort of talking about, going back in history. Tell me about growing up in Wellington, and what did you think you were going to pursue in terms of a career? Tell me about teenage Conor.
Yeah, teenage Conor. So I went to Wellington College, which was pretty traditional. High school uniform, garters and whatnot. But I was really into my sports in Wellington, and there was so much scope to do so because obviously it's not the largest city in the world. There is, entertainment and stuff in the city. But my weekends were taken up for, playing cricket and soccer, and whether that be, basketball, from a young age and the like. So it was really, really, really good time. I mean, throughout my time at Wellington College and moving into uni, I, to be honest, wasn't 100% sure what I, wanted to move into. I have 3 older siblings. The next one's 13 years older than me, and then 15 and 18. yeah. So surprise is what Mum likes to say. But no, it was. I had a lot of different, people telling me, different avenues to go down, and I think it just pushed me into so many people chatting, that I wanted to just, go in with it with an open mind. So I went into Dunedin, Otago University, and did a Bachelor of Commerce in marketing, with a minor in communications. And honestly, if I could take time back, I'd probably do more within the communication space, which was really interesting. It was all about, discourse of people and it tied in really, really nicely to the marketing aspect. But that was 3.5 years I spent there, and coming out naturally I wanted to move into a marketing role. And I eventually did, which was quite cool. But yeah, growing up, it was up until the university stage,
Yeah.
it was pretty free flowing. Like just had a teenage and kid life, playing sport and hanging out around Wellington and swimming and bushwalks and whatnot.
Oh, nice. Well, as a teenager, what was your first job? Did you have a casual job while you were living uni life and playing sport and bushwalking and all that fabulous stuff you were doing?
Yeah, I did. I would come back from Otago University. Well, firstly, actually, you've just reminded me. During my time at, I think even primary or college, I was working for a company called Smash, and it was just basically after school care, which was really fun. So
Nice.
I got to hang around the kids and whatnot, and holiday programs and stuff. But during university, I worked for a company called Tally Sports. And essentially, that's a holiday program in a sense, but it's completely sports based. So, it would be setting up obstacle courses or this or that, for the kids. So, yeah, I mean, with the three siblings, all older, I also have 7 nephews and nieces. So, I guess I've had a lot of experience around the kids, even from that stage. So that was my first kind of role. It was pretty part-time, pretty casual, until I graduated university, and then finally had to dive into the real world and find a permanent role.
And you moved into the marketing field,
Yeah.
and at some stage that kind of crossed over into the recruitment industry. So how did you kind of make the move from marketing to the role now, I suppose, in talent tech? Talk me through that journey. When did talent and recruitment come about, and how?
Yeah, it's a funny one. So I worked under basically someone called Roy Norrington, and he, I think, honestly, looking back, had the idea of hiring a marketing coordinator and then moving them into recruitment. But I started out, I left uni and I went straight into a marketing role. It was working with PPC, SEO, all of your paid marketing stuff, and I was loving it. We worked with a consultant, and then eventually he sat me down and said, "Look, I think you'd be really, really strong in the recruitment field, and I feel like that's where your skill set would likely suit." So I said, "Yeah, let's do it." I think I was 20, 22, 23, and I just dived into that. It was an interesting market we were working in. So it was called Technical Recruitment Solutions, and we had
Okay.
different desks based on pharmaceuticals or manufacturing, and I fell into the the construction recruitment space.
Oh, right. That's really different.
So yeah, it was quite a tough time in New Zealand, I think, for finding qualified engineers, site managers, project managers. There was a real shortage and a real will to grow companies with big commercial projects and the likes, but there just weren't the people there. So he was like, there's a bit of money to make in that space. So I supported somebody, in finding candidates for them while they dealt with the clients. And eventually I moved into a role where I was doing 360, working with clients in Wellington and all around. I got asked to look after a certain area in New Zealand called Tauranga. And I remember it was crazy. In my first 3 or 4 months, I helped somebody to move and relocate all the way from I think it was Nelson to Tauranga for a great job and a great salary. And I remember that, just the guy was really thankful. The company was like, how did you find this guy? And it was just, that's where I think the love for it kind of started, with recruitment and helping people out in that sense.
So how did you switch from being a recruitment consultant into working in talent tech? How did that all come about?
Yeah, so it's basically, I moved to the UK in 2019. which, as we know, 19 has connotations with COVID. So it
Yeah.
was, I had 3 months working for a company called Major Players. They worked in marketing and media recruitment. And I loved it. I was like, this is really, really cool company. I had 3 months there, and then eventually I was furloughed in the UK, and for months on end, it felt like. And then eventually they had to let 70% of the company go, and I was one of them. So it was building resilience. I just moved there. I was thinking, oh God, will I be able to stay in the UK and whatnot? So
Wow.
someone that I worked with at Major Players called Tylo, he started a role at Teamtailor, and he did really well at Teamtailor, and got assigned to build a team. When he did, he gave me a call and said, Conor, I'd love to have you on my team. It's a really, really exciting company, and I ended up interviewing. I got all my visa stuff in place because obviously it's a 2-year visa for Kiwis. Yeah. So I got to extend it beyond that, which was great. And then I started my time at Teamtailor. So it was through somebody that I knew and had worked with, who was a bit probably more senior than me, but obviously saw, my I guess a bit of drive and being able to speak and build rapport and sell in a sense, which is essentially what recruitment is, and then into just a recruitment system. So all it was getting up to speed with the system, and then a lot of it was the same thing. But the difference I found straight away is that there's only one thing to control in that place. In recruitment, you're controlling obviously the
Yes.
candidate and the client, and
Hey,
I bet
yes,
you know all about that.
I do,
Um,
right? Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
so there's just one aspect, yeah.
that's amazing. Well, what I'm keen, because I think this will be a really good linkage in terms of working in talent tech. I'd love to know, as a recruitment consultant, maybe what the biggest lessons were for you in your career, because I feel like tapping into what those lessons are, what those challenges were for you, would be of extreme benefit in the role working in talent tech, right? So what do you think the biggest lessons were for you?
Yeah, 100%. It's a really good question. I mean, biggest lessons were, in the role and in that kind of recruitment agency role was all on yourself. It was your own desk. I think you're working in a team, obviously, but it's up to you what you put out. So there's two aspects, I think. One is what you put out, you get back, and I truly believe that with regards to your work ethic, to reaching out to people in a BD sense and keeping that continuously kind of growing. And in another sense, it's being quite genuine in your approach and interested in the particular people that you're speaking to, rather than being there for a particular product or getting someone in for a particular job. It's building that relationship, which I'm sure everybody knows. But starting out, I think in my first role, I was speaking to much more senior people than me, and in a way, you can feel a bit intimidated by potentially not knowing, about the technical aspects of roles and the likes. But taking it back a step and taking it to kind of a person level is what I've always tried to do in both roles, and that was the link that did really work for me with regards to that. Yeah, I mean, it's always challenging, and resilience is another thing that you just have to build with stuff like this. Like, it's just you get kicked down a lot, but it's just moving forwards. Whether that's a candidate saying no at final stage, or a potential prospect choosing another system when you think you're going to be working with them. So yeah, it's going to happen.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I really want to talk more about Teamtailor. I've seen quite a bit of Teamtailor now. So for anyone out there who's not familiar with Teamtailor, give us your summary. What is it? What is Teamtailor? Tell me about the history of
Yeah.
Teamtailor. Tell me about what it does. What is it?
Yeah, cool. So, I mean, Teamtailor is applicant tracking system, ATS, basically. And take it from the start, we were established in Sweden in 2013. And it started out with our founders, and basically they wanted to move away from legacy kind of systems and have a focus on employer branding as well, which is really important for companies looking to attract candidates to roles and to companies and just to build it for their reputation as well. So over the last like now, geez, 10, 12 years, it's grown to 16 offices now globally.
Wow.
Yeah, down to Oceania as well, and it's a really tight knit team, and so Teamtailor works all the way from providing our clients with a careers page and job board integrations. So when they do want to post a job, fall straight onto the careers page with loads of info about the company, which is really customizable to like your brand or any language that you want to say, fonts or colors, etc. And also posting out to job boards. And when candidates apply through, you can automate that process by, having touch points throughout the recruitment process, self-scheduling interviews, and then integrating with HR systems, or, reference systems or whatever you wish. So, there's candidate pools that you can build and reach out to. But it's built in a way that like, it's quite funny because hiring managers is often a worry for talent teams, and getting them involved and getting good feedback from them, and it can hold up the process from what I've learned. You may have a different outlook, but
Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so creating a system that's really simple to use for both parties, and all the bells and whistles for TA teams, but a really simple kind of usability for hiring managers to feedback and view candidates within their job, etc., and get involved. So yeah, it's a really fun company and a supportive company to work for, and I think that feeds in to our clients as well. We do loads of different product updates. Whether it's Christmas time, it may be snowing on your home board, or Easter time, there may be an Easter egg hunt within the system. So it's not just there as a legacy system for you to work with. We want you guys to kind of have fun using the system as well.
Well, I want to, in a moment, talk about the features and maybe some of the differentiators and all of that kind of stuff in terms of Teamtailor, because that's what's really impressed me with what I've observed. But I want to spend a little bit of time talking about employer branding and the linkage of employer branding with Teamtailor. So, there are many. It's one of those. Employer branding is one of those things that I think we all have a different opinion of what it actually is. I think we, as talent professionals, now are well educated on the need for it because we need to attract people into our organisations, right? I think we've got that level of understanding. But tell me, in your view, what is employer branding, and tell me why it's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one thing I've noticed is people can come and say, "Look, we don't have an employer brand," and I think the first thing is everybody has an employer brand, whether they think they do or not.
Yeah.
So whether that's not having an employer brand, that will have an effect on your employer brand in a sense. So I mean, virtually every candidate out there, whether they're kind of active, passive, or in the middle, they'll consider the company's reputation before applying and throughout the process as well. And I think it has a direct impact to employee and candidate engagement, but that's employee engagement as well, and the employee retention, but also recruitment spend, not having to maybe promote your jobs or spend so much time on these particular jobs as well. I mean, I think it can win obviously over the fence candidates, acquire that top talent, and even employee referrals as well. So yeah, it's standing out from the crowd, I think, is what employer branding can do, but it feeds also into like, there's so many different aspects in terms of creating an easy application process, nurturing relationships afterwards, and having these touch points. So it's not just, I think, having this beautiful careers page and then that's all you do. It's a real strategy. I think, and I think basically, I think you need the tools there in order to do so. So yeah, I mean, it's showcasing prospective candidates before they apply for a job, but also throughout the process, making sure all the way through to onboarding, and the start date that is all ticked off. And with Teamtailor, I mean, there are so many different tools that you can do that. Within there, starting from, as you've seen, the really easily customizable careers page, and making an edgy one, or making a really small one, or it's completely up to you how you want to do that. But I think just as a baseline, you have an employer brand, even if you think you don't have one, is I think a good start point.
Yeah, and then once you've kind of landed on what that is, and to be able to, we're starting with the careers page. It's probably a good place to start in terms of, Teamtailor and the candidate experience and the touch points with employer brand. You talk about careers pages, and I think a lot of us have had that experience where the career pages are quite static. You design them, you deploy them. It's hard to make any adjustments to them. They might be owned by whoever owns your website, and then it clicks through to your job boards, etc. Our employer brands, in my opinion, should, and some may disagree, but they should expand and grow as our culture changes, as our culture, as our priorities change, as our strategies change. It shouldn't be a static thing. So how, when you say Teamtailor's customizable, blah, 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 I'm sure a lot of people are just going, well, yeah, I can't. I don't have the tech team. I don't have a developer. It's blah, 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 blah. Tell me, how simple is it? Like, how can we keep that fluid approach to employer brand to make sure that we can continue to evolve and change as our organizations and our cultures do?
Yeah, of course. I spoke to someone earlier today, and they said, oh yeah, we're having to go through a third party, and it was a classic situation of somebody wanting to own their employer brand and own their careers page. So within the system, like, you'll see your tabs up the top. There's jobs, candidate pool, and then there's a content section. So it's like Wix or Squarespace, if you're familiar with them, built into the system. So you can click on your content button. It will bring up your careers page, and then essentially you can build by blocks on the left hand side what you want to have on there. So a text block, and then maybe a little bit about your employees, and then your workplace and culture. And you can modify that as and when you want to. You can have a career site owner or viewer. So, you can involve marketing in that, or you can just completely look after it yourself. And once that careers page is completed, what you can do is basically just take the link and put it into your careers button. The best bit about it, I think, is what you'll find is, and you would have seen it, when you click on a careers button on a website, it takes you through to, a different URL or a different favicon, which is the logo at the top. And candidates can often think, geez, where am I being taken to? I don't want to log in, etc. So when you take the link from the Teamtailor careers page and put it into your careers button, a candidate clicks that, and it will open up either over the top of the website or on a new tab, your logo, your branding. You can change the URL to say, rubberband.com instead of teamtailor.com, for example. So, everything within that is customizable. But then if you now bring on, 4-day work days, or for example, you can just dive in to the system, change the perks and benefits section, just type it in, and it will populate onto the careers page. So, you can do it in a minute or two, change the content on there. So it's all owned by the user, basically. And you don't need any third parties.
Fantastic. Well, that's what we all need, right? Because it's that complexity of having to work with the third parties, or, to work with marketing or your technology teams, to be able to be self-sufficient is what we're all looking for in talent. So I absolutely love that when it comes to Teamtailor. Now, are there, for anyone listening that wants to have a look at some cool Teamtailor websites, do any spring to mind that we can have our listeners jump online as we continue to talk to have a look at? Tell me. Any
yeah, please do. I like Bulk. I think it's a UK company. Bulk is great. They're a little bit edgy in the way that they do it. Or that may be Huel, Huel, is very cool as well. Juicy Rentals have a really cool careers page as well, as you could imagine. They um, basically have quite a traveller aspect to it as well. I'm just looking through them now. There's so many. Arsenal Football Club, which
Oh,
is
cool.
quite cool.
Hey.
Yeah. Look, all across the globe, we have really, really cool companies using Teamtailor, all the way from Daniel Wellington to NZME, or even gaming companies, like Goodbye Kansas, or Rage Quit Games. So, I mean, that's why it's so great to work with Teamtailor, is because it's any company who are looking to kind of to grow. It's not it's not siloed into certain industries or anything like that. But yeah, if anyone wants to have a look, off the top of my mind, I'm probably not giving you the best
No,
best
these are
amount
great
or best
examples. These
companies,
are
but
awesome. These are awesome. And
yeah,
I think it's one of those things when you jump on the Teamtailor website as well, you'll see brands and you can continue to explore and look at examples, which is really awesome. Now,
yeah.
what I want to cover now is look, I'm gonna just put it out there and be a straight shooter. There are so many ATSs out there now. They all say they're the best. They all say they've got all the features. They all say they are completely simple to implement. And frustratingly so, they say we have an open API and can connect to any other platform. And quite often that's not the case. So tell me what makes Teamtailor stand out from other systems. Why is it the best in market, Conor? Do your sales.
Yeah, look, the integrations thing is funny, and I'll come to why Teamtailor is the best, etc. in a second. But yeah, I mean, we do have an open API, but I think we're all just completely honest that you probably want to integrate with something that's within our marketplace.
Right.
And if we don't currently integrate with them, then it could be best looking for another system. Although we can do it, custom integration just takes longer, costs more, etc. So I think everybody at Teamtailor is probably completely honest and say, maybe pick something from the marketplace. But look, I mean, Teamtailor, if anyone's seen Monzo or Spotify or anything like that, that Swedish-owned companies with a really, really, really strong UI and UX, and we have loads of developers that are constantly updating the system and keeping it modern and keeping it up with trends, whether that be the newest AI trends, or or the onboarding of candidates all the way up until the time that they start. But I think the strongest part of Teamtailor is honestly our support, which we have on the ground in every single location that we have. So you'll find a lot of companies, and they are an ATS is good, and I think companies will go with an ATS that suits their needs best. Honestly, like if they did go with the best, all the time, then there'd be one ATS out there. So each will suit different, people in a different way. But the support is something that you will find to be different, and you mentioned that in that little intro there. So we have support on the ground in Australia, in Colombia, in the UK, and in Spain, etc. So they're called customer success managers, and they basically will have a kickoff call with you and plan with you how to move forward with it, and basically, not in a way, hold your hand. We don't like to say that, but be there for you throughout that kind of process. With regards to the features, like our analytics are really, really strong. You can kind of schedule your reports to go out to particular people, whether that be a director or your manager, on the first day of every month, for example, so you can see the hires and the time to hire for that last month, saving you a lot of time building boring reports.
No more PowerPoint, right?
Yeah, that's the one. And then all the automations, and I mean, one thing I think is really cool is our nurture feature. So you have your candidate pool sitting there, right? And then you think, oh, should I just keyword search, or bring up a certain sector, and then you email them once, right, and just say, hey, glad to have you here. Are you looking for a new role in the next 3 months? But our nurture feature can actually set up, one email every 3 months, just keeping them up to date with your updates happening at your company, or the last Christmas party that you had, or this or that. And those
Amazing.
are for those hard to get candidates who, or like last example, sorry, is even engineering companies, like they get graduate engineers applying, but
Yeah.
then they need a few years before they actually move into that role. So they will nurture those candidates throughout the
Mm.
next few years until they're at a level where they can bring them on board in a particular role. And it's the same for any kind of graduate as well. So it's a really good tool for retaining kind of your talent pool and keeping them engaged as well.
And we, it's so important now that whether you're doing that via communities or talent pools, like to be using your ATS as a CRM, because that's essentially the key to our success now is nurture, are those
Yeah.
nurture campaigns, right? And whether we look at that at a job level, whether we look at that more at a unique skill set or graduate, for example, all of those things that you covered off, I think that's critical now in our roles. I'm just going to throw a few things out and tell me yes or no, unrehearsed.
Yeah, let's do it.
Audience, let's do it. Do you have a chat bot?
Genuinely unrehearsed as well.
Sorry, totally.
Yeah, no, go for it.
You got one?
We have a chat bot, yeah. It's linked to real people. It's 24/5. Yeah, linked to real people. So it's not a bot. So is this support or?
No, I want to talk about, I'm a candidate. I'm on the careers page. I've got a question about a job. Is there a chat bot?
Yes. So you can click on the careers page, little button down the bottom right, and candidates can come in and ask any questions that they want before applying or about the company, etc.
Fantastic. Okay. Calendar integration, because that is a pain, unless you've got calendar. Calendar integration with hiring managers and candidates.
Yeah, of course. So everybody can connect their calendars to the system. You can do it all in one go through a certain feature that we have as well, if you did want. But yeah, connect your Gmail, connect your Outlook, and then essentially, you can pull up other people's calendars, or you can send out your calendar to candidates for them to book in a time with you. So yeah, really, really quite simple. I show it on my demos sometimes to show that it can be done with under a minute. So yeah, connect your calendars and away you go.
Fantastic. Last one from me, because I just saw the time. You mentioned AI. What's the AI sophistication like? Like, what kind of AI does Teamtailor have?
High level overview. So look, it's all the way from drafting job descriptions. You can prompt it to write, a job description, etc. It can summarize CVs. It can be a co-pilot, basically, is what we call. So it will work alongside you to help you with regards to whether that be posting jobs or replying to candidates, etc. So I think there's 10 or 11, maybe less, maybe I could be overdoing that, maybe 8 or 9 different kind of AI features that we have within the system, but there's a couple there that we have, but it's done through OpenAI, so it's integrated into the system.
Amazing. Okay, well, they were my 3 main ones. I could keep going, but then I'm holding you up. So, final question. I just want to ask on a personal level, how are you finding the Australian market versus the UK, being relatively new to the Oz talent scene? How are you finding it? What are the differences?
All in all, I'm loving it. To everyone out there, but it's more Teamtailor based and where we are as a company. So like in the UK, it's a European company, Swedish owned. It's been in the UK a lot longer. The brand's recognized a lot better because it's been there longer, and more people use it, etc. So, we'd get a lot of people coming to us saying, you're one of our top 3 we want to look at. Let's dive in, and that's more that incoming basis. Here in this market, it's the brand's not recognized as widely as it is in the UK. So a lot of it's just building that brand recognition and proving that in other locations it really is a top product to use and has a lot of support behind it, and it's not the small startup kind of thing. It's a global company. But the market in general is really strong. I think people do. I'm finding have a lot of loyalty in Australian-owned systems as well, which is fair enough. As a Kiwi, I if I had a company, I'd probably look at Kiwi-owned systems first. But it's trying to understand that mold and educate as to why someone would look at something else as well. So those are the differences I've found Teamtailor wise, and then maybe from a perspective of clients as well.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining today, Conor. It's been so great to catch up and to share all this info about Teamtailor, because I think it's one, an audience, I truly believe this, it's something that you should check out, because above anything else, look, it's an affordable tool. It's an interesting tool. It's different to the others that I looked at, and I've been really impressed with it. So I don't endorse, I don't receive any commissions or anything like that. All I'm saying is check it out. Be curious about it, because I think it's awesome. So, Conor, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure catching up, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thanks so much, Eden. That was good fun. But thanks for it.
Thanks, mate.